Okay, welcome back. This is the second half of tonight's vendor Q&A. Now we're going to be chatting with Jim over at Coastal Pest Control. They handle all our pest and FERT and nutrient application needs. I'll let him dive into the details and then we can all ask questions, those of us that are here. I have some questions that I kind of pre-submitted to you and we can go over all of that over the next hour. So I appreciate you for being here and thank you everyone else who's here as well. We'll go ahead and get started. Just introduce yourself.
My name is Jim Cordero. I started Coastal when I was 19. I'm old now, so it's all I do. And I'm y'all's on site for any issues that y'all are having here, anything at all that's a problem. Other than a normal work order, I like to know about it. So those calls and emails can definitely come to me because I like to stay right on top of it. So we're finishing up an application right now. We weren't doing weed control until we got in here and saw what had sort of blown up. So we just altered it and we're adding weed control to the spray. So we'll have results on that clover pretty quick.
Okay.
You know,
So you started when with us? Just to remind me.
we are in November.
Okay, we'll be a year.
Right here.
Okay, and I know that with this particular service, it's a long game. And so what have you seen that you can kind of report on over the past year that has been the progress made with you guys?
Yep. We just individually, you learn the community. We have all our fungus areas now marked. We came in not having an idea of where fungus was going to pop. So now we've got all that on. Those areas are going to get treated with fungicide every time we granular fertilize from here on out. So and we don't have that on that first app. So we had a really bad fungus pop, but it's expected. We'll keep that under control. Other than that, it's our hot spots. It's our stressed out areas. Why are they stressed out? Is it a hot spot? Is it an irrigation issue? Is it something with the light? Basically, it's just learning the community as a whole. I mean, you guys don't have major issues with irrigation. With roots, you don't have a lot going on. We got to get the weeds under control. And that's going to be a lot easier this year because I'm fertilizing the turf. So I was super careful with what we did last year. We had no nutrients. You had nothing for a year. So if we would have came in with aggressive weed control, it would have killed everything. So the weeds would have simply germinated before the turf could come back. So what we're trying to do is grow healthy turf that can withstand cold, can withstand dry, can withstand and yeah, the community's responded well. Other than this pop of clover that I didn't really want to see, everything has been pretty much what we expected. Nothing crazy.
Great.
Yep.
Okay.
Is fungus associated with watering or
Absolutely.
what causes fungus?
Yeah, it does. When the temperature drops below 70 degrees and the turf stays wet for more than 5 hours, fungus spores are going to grow. And once they grow, we can control them, but they're going to come back every year. It's in the soil. People have tried to be extreme about that and said they're going to remove fungus, so they dug out and once you get it, the spores are just in the area. So yeah, it's absolutely water driven and it's nitrogen driven. So what happens when a homeowner sees fungus and yellowing, they put fertilizer on it and they turn up the water. Nitrogen is what makes the fungus pop. That's why when we came through with our application, we had fungus popping up everywhere in the community. It's just because we dumped all this nitrogen on it. So that's going to activate it. What we'll do now is treat those areas with fungicide when we're applying the fertilizer and we'll prevent that from happening.
When fungus is happening, it goes bare, goes to the ground?
It's as quick as we can get to it. If we can get to it immediately while it still has its orange circle and we can control the fungus, then the turf is now going to recuperate so much quicker compared to an area that gets away from us. And when we get in here now, it was active and it's been a few days and we didn't get it quick enough, then that recovery is going to take a little bit longer. You guys aren't going to deal with what residential homeowners do where they let it go so bad there's a bare spot. We're just simply in here too much to let that happen. But yeah, as quick as we can get to it, that's the recovery. The quicker the recovery will be. Yep.
I got a question about fertilizing. Do you do the fertilizing?
Yeah.
Is it a general all-purpose fertilizer that?
No, it is until you get we have soil samples that will run on the community. I've been doing this for a long time. Every soil sample that I've done from Boca to Melbourne is the same exact. Our soil is all the same. There isn't a large variance in that. It's all just not that good. Our fertilizers are just based on the weather. Here, it's just we don't want too much nitrogen. We don't want to spoil the grass. We want to make it grow and make the roots work. But it's really just on whatever the climate is. Our palm fertilizer usually stays the same. That's a palm special mix that's been developed and just works. So, but the turf's going to change a little bit, mainly just in the amount of nitrogen we put down, and then the potassium also. But the slow release is always going to be 50% on the nitrogen. But we will alter it just depending on how wet it is or how dry it is. If it's cooking in here, I'm not going to come in with a 20 on my nitrogen number. If the community is just cooking, we're not going to get anything out of it. So then we'll lower the nitrogen and we'll do another application and sort of spoon feed it instead of giving it a slow feed. So that's just adjusted really when we're doing the communities. I order my fur 2 weeks before I'm going to drop it, so I'm ordering just what I want. So nothing's changing on us by the time we get our fertilizer. So it doesn't vary much, but it's definitely not. Yeah, I have 30-some communities, and we use probably 15 different types of turf fur, just depending on where they're at, coastline or so.
Is there different fertilizer? Obviously for palm, there's a different fertilizer, but
Yeah.
for any other shrubs, is there?
We use palm special on all the shrubs, so they get their bonus. Yep. There's everything in there they need, and then the slow release is there too. So to put down a shrub fir, when we have the palm special, would just be taken away from the shrub, so they sort of get better fertilizer than they actually would get if we weren't using palm special. Yep.
Interesting.
And that's all applied with blower machines, so it's so evenly distributed. We get really good applications with that, where the fertilizer is actually just blown onto the tree or the shrub.
So we had a question with CTM about crew turnover. Do we have the same crew with you guys for applications?
Yeah, my longest tech has been with me since high school, and my newest tech has been with us for 3 years. I don't have much rotation. My guys are all certified applicators, so they know what they're doing, and I pay them really well, and I pay them hourly. There's no reason for my guys to rush. Residential, commercial, it's we pay them really well. I haven't lost anyone in a long time. Yep. So the crew that comes here is going to be the same. It's going to alter a little bit with our weather, because I'll have to roll fertilizer guys or pest control guys or termite guys in here so we can get caught up if the rain pushes us back, so we are not continually behind for the next month. But the general techs that get a community stay at the community, absolutely.
Okay. Cool.
Do we have a termite problem in our neighborhood?
If you have a home in Florida, you should have termite protection. If you build a house here, absolutely. I don't think you have a problem. I mean, there's areas that are hotter than other areas, but it's the cheapest insurance you're ever going to buy. So if you have a home, you should have termite protection. Absolutely.
And you are putting down termite related?
No, that would be separate. Contracted to the homeowner, or completely separate, because it's actually a contracted service, so you guys are protected. It's through the state, not so much through the company. Everybody has to do it the same way. If they offer you termite treatment, they have to offer you renewals for a 5-year period total. Everybody has to do it the same way. So, but that's completely separate. That would mean either applying bait stations around the home or trenching and applying a liquid termiticide around the home. And then we guarantee that for the 5 years, because again, the state says that's how long the chemical companies can make it last. So it's all the state when it comes to termites. Everybody has to do it the same way as far as offering the guarantee and the renewals and the coverage.
One of the issues that I do see around the neighborhood is ant problem. Do you treat that as a blanket problem or just a spot treatment?
It's no, that should be the first thing that we should gain control. So with that, it's either the rain's getting us and we're getting them popping up, What we put on the ground is just a surface treatment. But it's always, there's no spot treating an ant pile. If the guys go out and there's ants somewhere, they're treating the area, because we really, really shouldn't have an ant pile in the community after a year, unless it's like I said, you're just catching me before treatment, and after a bunch of rain and we're getting them pumped to the surface. And even that, if I see it in the community, it's not really accepted. I'll get on my guys about it. We should have fire and control everywhere. Absolutely.
First off, I think it's great that we have someone who's specializing in this service. So I think it helps to have a specialist here. Just out of curiosity, what is included and how often? This could be a very basic question.
Yeah, fertilization of the turf, the shrubs, and the palms, and that's annually. It's 2 granular apps on the turf at least. It's 2 liquid apps of fertilizer. Insect control is done every 60 days on the entire property, including the perimeters of the homes. And that's done 6 times a year. That's our base pest control. And the other 6 treatments, we do fertilization applications, or we're doing this month a combination of both, insecticide, weed control, that type of thing. My contract has all the minimal services you guys will. I don't even follow that. If you guys need 5 granular treatments in a year, you're gonna get it. I don't do add-on services for my communities. I won't tell you you need something else. I bite the bullet. If we have to apply, I've done it before. If the turf doesn't respond to our application, then we're buying 7 tons and we're gonna do another application. So what's included is the minimals that's around the contract, but we go so far above that as far as what we offer. So it's guaranteed year-round insect control. So if you have a problem with it, it's gonna be covered. And the same with the nutrients. There's no time off from it. So basically it's fertilization and insect control on everything. We're not cutting anything and we're not watering anything, but otherwise it's pretty much on us.
Did I hear you say perimeter homes?
Yes.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, that's how we can offer that guarantee on the inside, is if we were just treating the turf and leaving all these mulch perimeters and ornamental areas untreated, then we'd just be battling ants like crazy in the homes, so, yep. Yep.
Wanted to give you some accolades. I had an ant farm a couple months ago. Whoever your guy is came out, took care of it right away, very friendly, very professional. But back to the termite, if I may. So I've had a termite protection plan on my house since I had it built. I didn't realize you guys had that. Do we have some sort of negotiated agreement with you for the whole HOA? Does each home vary in price? I'm not sure if we need to contact your office.
Yeah, we discount any services that a resident in a community, so if we do a bee service or a mole service or anything like that, we discount all that. So yeah, we would absolutely discount termite services. The office usually discounts them 20%. And,
So it's not something that's regulated by you said it's
No,
by the state?
no,
It
it's
can
gonna
charge.
be the homeowner, yup, and that's transferable with the house too, with termite contracts in Florida. It's not the buyer as much as it's the home that it can be transferred.
You have to replace the base station.
Yeah, because most of them, they're not, that's the other company's stations, so trying to use them just becomes a huge, we can't legally put baits in them, so yeah.
So call your office.
Absolutely, yep, we come out and take a look, and like I said, we will discount services in the community. Yep, we're in there already.
Jamie, is that something we should do as a whole?
Termites across the,
Because every home should have it. I mean, if we change it, then.
I mean, there's no harm in exploring it, you know, to see what that would be for our community as a whole. Is that something that you guys can?
There's gonna be people that are renewing with the company that built it, and they're gonna keep renewing with them, and then there's others that, you know, may have lived in Florida their whole life and never had an issue. So it's hard to get that to swing
Sure.
most of the time.
But you can handle a whole community with
Oh,
that
absolutely.
service.
Yeah, we're currently doing it in a few communities that were built in Port St. Lucie, and they all have issues in the trusses with powder post beetles, and they're also all sprayed with ice insulation in the attic, so we can't access any of the wood, and it's basically through the entire community. So yeah, we're doing, I think they booked 23 inspections in there yesterday, so everybody's calling now trying to get that looked at, so yeah, absolutely. Yep.
I also have received the list of chemicals that are actually being applied, right? And I can check with you again to make sure all of those are still current. I imagine they would be.
Should be.
Okay, but I can share that with the community. I know that some people have questions. What are the chemicals being used? If they're safe? I know that. I'll let you explain sort of the safety of chemicals being applied again, just so those are
Yeah, it's all, the label's the law with these products, and as long as you're applying it to the label rates, there's not gonna be issues. Everything we use is odorless, it doesn't affect mammals, it's not transferred, it disappears in about 45 to 60 days completely. So, yeah, less is best with pesticide. What we use for the surface treatments is bifenthrin, and it's been used for a while. It's got the lowest toxicity that a pesticide can have with the label. Everything we use is that way. We don't use any restricted use products in here. Everything would be just the caution signal word, which is what you're gonna get at Home Depot too. So we don't use anything that goes above that signal word. And then, yeah, I've been doing this a long time, and we tell people to give the turf an hour dry time before animal and children are playing on it, and that's for allergic reactions. And I've been preaching it for 30 years, and I'm waiting for an allergic reaction. We've had a few dogs that they showed something when they went on the turf, but really in all my years, it's just, once it's mixed properly, it's just pretty safe. And then, like I said, it just disappears. It doesn't hang around, which is why 45, 60 days later, with a bunch of rain, we get that stuff popping up on us, but we should still be ahead of it.
Yeah, and I know that people still may have their own concerns with that, and there are other reasons too that somebody might opt out. But can you kind of talk about the opt-out system that we have in place with you guys?
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard for us to a la carte the services because they're applied together and we're treating the entire community. And if we started saying, well, this person doesn't want insect control, just fertilization, it's real hard for us to do that. I don't even offer that to residential customers that hire us. If you want fertilization, you have to do pest control. You can't have a good turf without it. So if someone wants to opt out, they just need to. And then what we do is we mark it on our calendars and our maps. And when the guys come in here, they're basically working off a map, and every house that's a do not treat or any other issues, those things are riddled with notes about the turf and this and that, so they'll just skip the house. But the only problem is we just can't start offering just this or just that. If someone wants to opt out, they just opt out 100%.
Right.
Yep. And then the guys are just, like I said, they're real good about that. We don't have a ton of that in all our communities, but it's a big deal. If you spray somebody's property that is allergic or doesn't want it done, they're pretty good about staying on top of it. Yep. And we just skip it all together.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
Fertilization. Do you do the backyard?
Yes.
The total backyard?
Yes, absolutely. And the same thing with weed control. You guys got weeds on some of the edges of the waterways and stuff that's so much worse in the back than it is the fronts. And I know they were aggressive with that these last couple of days, but yeah, everything gets treated. Yeah.
I have some kind of weird crabgrass kind of looking stuff. I don't know. I've got schlesia. I usually just, if I see it, I pluck it out. But is anything you do that solves that problem, or is that going to be a whole separate?
It is, yeah. Crabgrass is really tough, and there's some products that'll slow it down. And I've tried them, and they don't work. In 2019, we did 16 test plots in PGA, and we did 4x4 test plots in the community loaded with crabgrass, and we put different products, and I worked with a couple different turf guys to try to figure out what we could put on these areas that would actually kill the crabgrass before they put their turf, the sod down. It's like every year they're resodding the same areas, and then within a season. So we did that. We did it for 4 months, and we found that the areas that basically got all the products, like it was where we just used Roundup or where we just used Dicot or this product, nothing worked in the test plots. It killed them all right away. We would go back weeks later and get on our knees and look for the crabgrass just as it germinates. It's got a specific blade, 1 up, 2 down. It's easy to spot. It's tiny. And we had a couple of the plots that we were successful with, and then that community went to work, having us kill yards and waiting it's a very long time. You gotta deal with it aesthetically, because you really have to wait for that to die off. Where we did that, it works. I did it at my own house on the spot, and had just restocked it and lost it within 2 seasons. And then in 19, when we did this, I did the same thing on mine, and it worked, and it's held up. The problem is if you just renovate and the weed's still in the, it's just gonna keep coming back.
Now, I think I just do it the old fashioned way for now, 'cause it's not that bad.
You just, yeah, it's like, I couldn't believe how much it took, the applications. It was like 6 different applications, and then to get it to really die off to where you can replant and stay away from it.
With work orders, how are they received by you guys?
Those are gonna be emailed to the office. Yep. Or, yeah, because if someone calls, then we're just instructing them to go ahead and submit through you guys, so we won't even take it. And then once we get that work order, the customer should be called immediately. Like really, not just same day, but pretty much when we get it. That's what the girls are doing at the office, so they'll schedule that immediately, and if it's an exterior issue, then we'll just take care of it. Most of them are right between 24 and 48 hours. If we get something on Monday, most of the time we're gonna have it treated within a day or 2. Yeah, if somebody has a fire ant issue inside the house, or bees, or something like that, then that's a same day, absolutely immediate. But as far as all the other issues, we shoot for that right up, to contact immediately and have the service done within 48 hours.
Yeah, I can attest to my neighbor actually just had some services done for ants. You guys responded immediately. They were very pleased with the person and the service, and they just told me this the other day. So
That's the biggie. It's like you're gonna have those issues. It's just how you can respond to them as quick as you can and make it right. So yeah, the office is huge on that. I'm on everybody's ass about that there. Yeah.
Same turnaround for weeds?
That's a little different, unless, yeah, it is, but that's gonna be worked into usually a community spraying, unless we're far out from a treatment. Then yeah, it is gonna be still handled the same way. It might take a day or 2 longer with weeds because it's an exterior thing, but my office knows that even though it's a community, if we got a residence that's got a ton of weeds and they're seeing it every day and dealing with it, we can't just say, hey, well, we'll be there in 3 weeks when we do the community. So no, I have the office schedule those, and basically if a homeowner has that bad of a weed problem, then usually it can take the application on the callback and then take the application when we're due again. We just won't do it if it's immediately before an application, then we might just let it go with the application if we were already gonna be in the community, but no, the weeds, we can absolutely handle that the same way.
But at the very least, it's probably useful to have that work order so you can kind of ID the home that's having the issues.
Absolutely.
So as you go through these sort of regular spray and stuff, you've marked and denoted the house.
Right, and there might be a small spot that we don't even notice on our inspections that makes a homeowner crazy because they've lived there and dealt with it. So that's why when we get the calls, I just tell them, just schedule it, even though, with communities, sometimes that doesn't, they don't think you're gonna do that, yeah, like you can't call a landscaper and ask them to come mow because your lawn needs it or this and that, but really with us, it's like if there's a weed issue, we have no problem setting that up, taking care of it, absolutely.
Cool. Any other questions?
Well, there's this one kind of weed that is so, you can't even pull it out, it's so strong.
There's a couple woody weeds that take several applications, and yeah, cut sedge will do that. There's a couple others that are very woody, small broadleaf weed, but it's very woody and it travels throughout. Those are definitely multi-application controls. We usually treat those and then we aim for 14 to 21 days to catch them yellowing, and then we reapply and that should kill it. But those are the stemmy ones are the toughest to kill. The easiest is like dollar weed and that. We balance it. If a spot's got dollar weed every single month and it's right between the 2 homes, and we come in and aggressively treat that with broadleaf weed control every single month, we're gonna lose everything between the houses. The turf just can't take that repetitive weed control. So the weed controls will affect turf just like a weed. We just apply them at times and in manners where the turf isn't gonna uptake it. in the winter or the product we use. So that's the only time the broadleaves can be tough, is that if they're just reoccurring and it's an aquatic broadleaf that's caused from moisture, it gets tough to just keep blasting it with chemicals and not eventually just do the turf anyway. So those areas, you try to balance it and dry them out a little bit with just not treating with chemicals.
Okay, I got a question. So, on the weeds, you pay particular attention to the lawn, not so much the flower beds.
Nothing in the flower.
Nothing is flower beds, so that's landscape.
Yeah, and the driveways. What we do is we don't spray any type of non-selective weed control in the community, and non-selective being a Roundup where if you spray it, it dies. So, yeah, I like to leave that to the landscapers. That way my guys don't even have backpacks with Roundup in it. We don't have anything non-selective. The only thing they're gonna be is a selective product that's either targeting the broadleaf or the grassy weeds.
That's my question, thank you.
Anything else? I don't know if we need to go the full hour if there's no more questions.
No,
But
I
yeah.
got one more question. If you did opt for the termite, what is it, what's the ballpark?
$1,000 for the application, and then our renewal is $195 a year. The renewal is just, the state made termite renewals to avoid a bunch of termite litigation. So if you treat a home, you have to guarantee it for a year. Absolutely, you have no choice to guarantee it for a year, the state says so. And then they want you to offer them 4 renewals. Because again, that's what the state got together with the chemical companies and said, okay, we can put a 5-year product in the ground that is safe enough. And then the chemical companies give a 10-year product and the state says, no, we're gonna stay with the 5-year product. So it's regulated by them. What they want you to do is come back and inspect the house annually. So if you have a termite breakdown, you treat it and you don't have a damage issue. Termites are super slow. But if every home was treated and not re-inspected annually, then 3 or 4 or 5 years later, which is how long it takes for substantial damage, there'd be tons of litigation. So the state's goal is let's have it, the termite company has to inspect it annually, that renews the coverage. Most of your termite companies mail homeowners their renewal. Mine was mailed to me from a company in Jacksonville when I built my house that wanted me to pay them the renewal on my termite treatment. They'd never been to my house, they weren't gonna do an inspection on my house. The company wasn't even in St. Lucie County, and they owned my termite contract and sent me a renewal to send them $400 and something to continue it. What we do is we come and inspect the home and do the renewal like it's supposed to be done. So, huge difference, because most companies just mail their renewals and get paid and they don't even inspect the home. And that's the whole point of the annual renewals, to catch something before it's a real damage issue.
Do you do application during the renewal period, or?
No,
you just
not
check it?
after 5 years we will. Yeah, after 5 years you'll reapply. Otherwise, you just inform the customer that, listen, we're on an inspect only now. So if you want us to keep coming back and inspect it, that's fine, but make them understand that their coverage is definitely not going to be covered if they had an issue. We'd have to put the product back in the ground or reapply the bait stations. Yep.
You had mentioned community up in St. Lucie, or they spray the trusses. So how do you even know? How can you do an inspection?
Yeah, what we're doing is we're just inspecting what we can, trying to find evidence from it, and then some people are choosing to fumigate, but again, the fumigation passing through the ice product is an issue. So we're doing a lot of inject-in and foam treatments. And then anybody that doesn't have that ice is doing preventatives. That's what's, because the wood is exposed. So on a normal attic, if it doesn't have that, we can spray a product up there on the wood that will be absorbed by the wood. And it's 5 years against termites and even wood decay fungi. So if you have a roof leak, wood decay won't even grow on your trusses. But we just gotta have access to bare wood, that's the catch. If it's painted, we can't do anything if it's treated, but if it's bare wood, we can absolutely treat it. Yep.
Are those little boxes that are sit on the outside of some of the homes? I mean, we got these little boxes out there, and is that related to pest control in some fashion?
Some of them are, if it's the home team system.
Yeah, I think that's what it is, yeah.
Yeah,
What the heck is that?
I've never, yeah, I never liked that system. It's lines, it's plastic lines that are ran through the wall of the home. So when they're building the house, you'll see them put them in, and they put termite lines in, and they put pest control lines in, and they run them through all the walls, and then the company comes and plugs into that outside, and pumps it through the house. And it's just, yeah, absolutely asinine, I think. I've owned this company for long enough to say the last thing I want to do is fill all your walls with insecticide. That's not where your bucks are getting.
I usually eat it in dinner. I mean, I
It's
do it
just,
directly.
you can't see in the walls, so you can't see where the lines have turned, you can't see where they've cracked. So he might be pumping everything right into your first kid's bedroom wall because he can't see where all of it's going. There's just pumping it. So they put the termiticide in there and they guarantee termites. And I have 2 communities that we treat that have those, and I tell people they can paint little decorations on them. Home Team actually developed the hookup and named it, and just, but I have no interest in doing it. If I could even buy the product, it's just, to put it inside the walls makes no sense.
I was just really curious what it was.
Yep,
You guys are
we use synthetics around the outside, and it comes and goes, and it's done. So yeah, I would never, I've never thought those were a good idea, but that's what it is.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, I just want to say though, just to wrap this up, that when we were sort of bidding out this service and you were in that process, one of the key things that stood out to me, and I know the committee too, is you kind of had a bit of pragmatism to your approach. You didn't upsell or try to sell anything. You just were like, we're going to just take care of you guys. That's been the feeling ever since you started with us. It's the feeling I get every time we sit down with you. So I'm just very appreciative of you and the company and what we can expect moving forward. So thank you.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah, I'm always available. Any issues or problems, I want to know about it. And yeah, yep. I appreciate the opportunity.
Great.
Thank you.
Jim, do you have one question before we shut down?
Oh my goodness, I'm so sorry for what a great moment to come though. Well, you know my concerns, did you inquire about that at all?
About which?
My concerns?
Oh, with the spraying. That's CPM on the trees. And remind me again.
Sure, so what it is that the base of the trees are being sprayed with an herbicide in order to kill the grass, so the grass doesn't go up to the base of the trees.
Got it.
Right? And then, but that's not, first off, it's not healthy for our banana tree. And on the other hand, we have a few fruit trees where we want to avoid that. So I'd like to know